Thank you for joining me today for another episode of Hunger Hunt Feast. Today, I want to talk about the estrogen effect of soy. Most of you are familiar with that of some degree. You know that soy has isoflavones, phytoestrogens called isoflavones in them. I talked last week about the effect on thyroid function, um, and thyroid and actually cognitive decline. Most people are aware of the estrogenic effect on sex hormones, but that's what I want to get into. So since that's kind of it's not a new topic. People understand the concept of putting in phytoestrogens in their body could either or replace naturally occurring estrogen, endogenous estrogen, or mimic estrogen. So increase the effects of an estrogenic effect, or even block testosterone or offset um, the effect of testosterone because of the level of estrogen in the body for men or women for that matter. So I won't get too deep into the concept, but I really want to focus on what the studies say, both animal and human studies, because there's things floating out there. We don't always know what to reference. So I've got some studies that I will definitely link to in the show notes. But just to show the variety, there's a lot of evidence out there that just gets pushed down because it doesn't fit the marketing narrative of the big, food producers. Because soy is, as you know, is in everything, and plus it's being produced as a quality protein, supposedly, or a better milk, okay, a better cheese than actual milk and cheese. If you have problems with dairy, please don't go to soy. Find something else, or just avoid it altogether. But soy has some downstream effects on hormones, all sorts of hormones that. Yes, they're documented. This they've been seen in studies. You're just not hearing it because that's not the message that the people who pay for advertising want you to hear. Researchers who are studying this stuff, and are not paid by the not industry driven research, are not going to spend money on advertising to let you know about this or to put it out there. It's out there, but if you're not looking for it, you're not going to see it, because the people who are selling food, Unilever, DuPont, some of the smaller health food, but most of them are owned by PepsiCo, Coca-Cola. They're buying up these little health food companies and they're pushing the soy out there. It's big money. It's big business. So um, I want to get into, so you understand the degree of impact on sex hormones, as well as um, the amount of studies. I mean, I'm just touching on it. Okay, there's a lot more out there, but it gives you somewhere to look to start if you really want to dig in deeper. But there's plenty of information here, I think, to convince you that soy is not your friend when it comes to having normal hormone function in your body, whether it's thyroid or sex hormones. So, we have questions. Will it cause infertility? Okay. Will it disrupt menstrual cycles? Will it lower testosterone levels and cause man boobs and lower libido in men and women? I'll let you answer that as we get through this, but it doesn't look good. And the consensus is these are the supplement of soy, this food product, acts a lot like drugs in many cases, acts like a pharmaceutical. There's a few hundred plants known to be estrogenic and have phytoestrogens in them, and they're known to have caused infertility in livestock like sheep and cows, as well as birds, cats, dogs, mice, and of course humans. Clover is known to cause some infertility with sheep, cows, but the only one that's really in our food supply of all those estrogenic plants really is soy. I mean, yes, there are some plants that have small amounts of isoflavones, but to the level that would impact us hormonally, soy is really the only one that's normal in our food supply, unless you're out there grazing on clover somewhere. If you are, keep it to yourself. No judging, whatever. But yeah, cut out your clover. But soy, watch out for soy. Um, so, uh, and again, we know these are coming from the isoflavones that affect the sex hormones. So I'm going to focus just on studies that indicate this, that give us this, make this, I think, pretty clear, and from many different countries, that these isoflavones do not have a positive impact on us at all. It's tried to be, they tried to spin it as, oh, we can use this to um, diminish the risk of breast cancer or prostate cancer or menopausal symptoms. Well, you'll hear it. We'll get into that. So one of the most prominent animal studies of consuming, or the example of consuming soy, was with the cheetahs in the Cincinnati zoo. And the cheetahs actually ended up getting developed because they had a certain amount of soy protein in their diet to supplement, to get their protein levels higher. The cheetahs ended up having liver disease, and the female cheetahs couldn't get pregnant due to a damaged endometrium. So basically the egg couldn't find a place to develop, right? So they compared these cheetahs. They'll say, you'll hear if you dig into this, that, oh, cheetahs have a hard time getting pregnant anyway in captivity. Yes, but the cheetahs in the zoo in South Africa, who are fed whole animal carcasses, they just give them whole animals. Here you go, chew at it, dig through, just like they would find, or it would be eating from in the wild. They have no problem, no fertility issues whatsoever, and no signs of liver disease. So it's really the cheetahs in North America, they're having this problem because they're world, across the country, and I guess maybe Canada too, but North America primarily, we're supplementing their diet with soy, and they're seeing this detrimental effects. So I definitely linked to that study. But when you have one population primarily fed soy, they're having an issue. You see another population, another country, they're fed carcasses more in line with their natural diet, and there's no issue, no liver disease, no infertility issues. It didn't take much to figure out what the common denominator was, because there's not a whole lot else going on. They're all in cages, they're all in captivity. They monitor everything these cheetahs do and everything they eat. That was the common denominator. The Karolinska Institute in Stockholm published in the Journal of Endocrinology that their findings raised concern. They say that their findings raised concern about human exposure to phytoestrogens, as well as because of the contraceptive effect in animals. So, and their suggestion was a closer look at the dietary habits of women who were struggling with infertility or having menstrual cycle disorders. Just take a look at their diet, see if there's some soy involved here. Is there a large amount of soy in their diet? Because of the dramatic impact on animals that they're seeing in Stockholm. There's another study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. 6 women. It's a small study, but they want to see the impact. Small study because they don't do large human studies. They want to be able to control the intake of food. So it's 6 women of childbearing age. They were giving 60 grams of vegetable protein, assuming soy, that contained about 45 milligrams of isoflavones in that 60 grams of soy protein. So that's per day, 45 milligrams per day for 30 days. And they had significant effects on their menstrual cycles. They were actually lengthened for 2.5 days. Menstrual cycles were really for 2.5 days. They had 33% reduction in their mid-cycle levels of luteinizing hormone and 53% reduction of their follicle stimulating hormone. And these effects were present for up to 3 months after they stopped eating this supplemental soy, this 45 milligrams of isoflavones. So they eat for 1 month. The impact is the month they eat, but 3 months more. So they were obviously having an effect on their ability to ovulate. When you're affecting the mid-cycle hormones like that, that's going to impact their ability to ovulate, which means fertility, right? Not to mention just throwing off the cycle and whatever other issues that could cause during their throughout their cycle, and how that could throw that off long term. But so that's all it took was 1 month of supplementation to affect 4 months of life. And so this has been, recommended for treating because of these changes and these effects on the menstrual cycle. They've actually used that as a reason to recommend them for treating symptoms of menopause. Crazy, huh? So there are actually 5 studies I've linked to. I won't go into each study. I'll just kind of rattle off where they were from. But 5 different studies showing no relief of symptoms of menopause with soy supplementation. They all have varying levels because they're all different, again, different locations, varying levels of soy supplementation with no helpful relief of the symptoms of menopause. Actually, some of the cases, placebo actually had fewer symptoms. So the one that was just given, the group that was having because there were 6 women who got the supplementation, and then there was a group that got no supplementation. They got a placebo. They didn't know whether they were getting soy or not. They actually had fewer symptoms than the people who were given soy. So not only did it not have an impact, maybe it did in the wrong direction. But this came from Monash University in Australia, the Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition at Iowa State, University of Milan in Italy, University of Pittsburgh, Helsinki University. Well, those are all 5 of those studies where they found no benefit or relief of symptoms of menopause. So actually there was a study done in Italy that showed a negative effect. This is a different study from those ones I just mentioned, but there was actually a separate study in Italy, a negative effect to menopausal women, causing increases in the occurrence of endometrial hyperplasia. So which means a thickening of the lining of the uterus, of the endometrium, right? So anytime you have excessive growth or hormone-driven growth, you increase the risk of disease or cancer, right? And thickening of the uterine lining is actually a precursor. It's a known precursor for cancer. So these researchers really, again, referred to these soy supplements as potent drugs. So, you can think you're supplementing with something, but we've got clear hormone disruption here. And case after case after case, these are things we just don't hear about. Again, we just aren't hearing. We don't hear our doctors talk about this. They're probably not hearing about it. I mean, how often, if you've gone to your doctor, ladies, with problems, whether it's menstrual issues, menopause, fertility issues, or guys, if you've gone to your doctor with, talking about, maybe a lack of libido, lack of drive, maybe you're developing man boobs, whatever, something you could tell something's off. Do they ever ask you if you're eating soy, if there's any element of soy in your diet, besides what's in all the processed food that we can't help it, but if you're taking a soy protein or a protein or eating protein bars that have soy protein in them, or did they ever ask you about any level of soy in your diet or tell you to watch out for soy in your diet? Probably not. Probably not unless you've got a very progressive naturopathic type doc, right? The health of Japanese women is often referenced to because as they're used as a comparison because of their supposed high soy intake, right? Although they do have, as I mentioned in my last podcast, they have a much higher incidence of Hashimoto's and goiter in Japan because of this. They eat so much tofu, but really, that soy intake of Japanese women, or Japanese in general, has really been overblown. Their average of Japanese women average intake is only about 6 to 8 grams of soy per day, which is about 15 to 30 milligrams of isoflavones. So enough to have an effect. Yeah, obviously on their goiter, Hashimoto's, thyroid. But if you think about that compared to how much many people who intentionally they supplement with soy, 6 to 8 grams, that's not much at all. That's not much, really, at all. So that's not really, it's not that comparison to Japanese women as if they're really, taking in all this tofu. Yeah, they eat more than China or other parts of Asia, but they for compared to a lot of people who eat soy, I mean, US has got them beat. US is the biggest soy consumer in the world. Um, with men, um, we had another study here. We saw a reduction in sperm count to the point of infertility. Okay, so this was actually an animal study. Well, it's a mix of studies. So it's humans, primates, rodents, but it was a reduction in sperm count to the point of infertility in sheep, rodents, primates, and humans. So across the board, guys, you know, if you're having infertility issues, that's an issue trying to have kids, definitely look for soy in your diet. If you're just noticing, like you're just getting older, you're over 40 and you don't want your testosterone to drop for no reason, first step, I mean, yeah, get in shape, lose weight, look for soy in your diet and start taking it out aggressively. Like don't eat things with soy, soy as a major ingredient, and certainly avoid soy protein. Now, studies show that the sperm counts in general in the U.S. have dropped from by about 50% between 1939 and 1990. And there's another study show that there's been a reduction of about 2% per year since the 1970s. Well, if your sperm count's down, they're showing low sperm count, again, from the first study with the sheep, primates, rodents, and humans. And then we have a clear decline since the 1940s, really, to 1990, and 2% per year since the 70s. Okay, that's three different studies showing a decrease in sperm count. Okay. There's something changing, something new in our environment. Now, it may not be one thing. No, it's clearly attributed to a combination, I think, of plastics, pesticides would certainly have that effect, and soy, because we have such an increase in soy consumption since the 70s when they started marketing soy as a health food in like 1972, 1974, really came on the forefront of like, what do we do with this leftover soy byproduct for feeding cattle, this and that? Hey, let's make people think it's healthy and sell it as a health product, right? So guys, yeah, avoid the plastics, go for organic, avoid pesticides as much as possible. Soy, it's listed on the labels, avoid soy. There's another study from the King's College in England found that estrogens from beer, tofu, and paint reduce the sperm ability to fertilize an egg in mice. So in case you didn't know that, beer, yes, is somewhat estrogenic compared to tofu. Probably not so much. Paint, I'm not sure. I guess these mice were eating paint, or maybe it was just paint exposure. They're probably eating chip paint. Hopefully you're not eating chip paint, but beer and soy. If I had to choose just one of those to go, it'd probably be the soy. Yeah, for sure. Reduce the beer if you can. Pick a good one you like. Drink one. Reduce quantity. Go for quality. Get rid of the soy. Get rid of soy, guys. If your sperm count's down, we're seeing sperm count down, inability to fertilize an egg. In other words, they couldn't make it to the egg or penetrate the surface. There's something wrong. And it's likely could be linked back to lower testosterone. Quality. Two other studies found lower testosterone and higher estrogen levels in men eating soy. So there you go. Lower testosterone, higher estrogen. It's soy coming in, not only lowering the testosterone, but adding to estrogen levels. And testosterone isn't just about fertility and libido. So if you're not, you say, well, I'm not looking to make anybody pregnant, I'm not that involved, it's my libido's okay. Guys, if you have lower testosterone, that's going to affect tissue repair, red blood cell count, your immune system, heart health, not to mention just your drive and even your ability to focus later in the day, just your fatigue level later in the day, where you start getting that brain fog. Those are all symptoms of lower testosterone. You don't want your testosterone lowered at all for any reason, but you certainly don't want it lowered because you're eating some, processed food that you can clearly, easily get out of your diet, right? Just start removing. That's not a good way to go. Because there's going to be another, negative downstream effect. Testosterone's going down. This other study, estrogen started going up. That's not, obviously. If I have to convince you, well, just wait. There's more. Study from University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, that was done for they were doing this study for the National Cancer Institute, found that men eating soy had lower testosterone. They had breast enlargement, so man boobs, and ready for this, guys? Nipple discharge. Yeah. Nipple discharge. Lower testosterone, breast enlargement, man boobs, nipple discharge. That sounds sexy to you? Yeah. Not so much. So again, if it doesn't convince you to avoiding soy, I'm not sure what else will. I'm not sure what else I could say to you. But that's, get rid of that soy. So dietary soy in pregnant women can affect unborn child or children, excuse me. The soy estrogens have been found to cross the placenta. So doesn't just stay with the mom, definitely gets in with the baby. This is studies from the Archives of Toxicology. They're looking at this because of its effect on babies, not only at birth, but even down the road, how they're affected throughout their life. Claude Hughes, director of women's health at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles, found that 40% of the fetuses who were exposed to estrogenic isoflavones at levels were exposed. Okay, so that estrogenic effect at levels 20 to 180 times larger than the estrogen produced by the mother. So you're talking about a dietary food, okay? Obviously, dietary food. Dietary isoflavones, something they're eating. Cedars-Sinai, I'm sure you've heard of it. Los Angeles, huge hospital, major research hospital. Okay, 40% of fetuses exposed to estrogenic isoflavones levels 20 to 80, 180 times larger than the estrogen produced by the mother. Yes, babies are exposed to estrogen produced by the mother. But you don't need more than that. You don't need it coming in 20 times plus what the mother already has, right? That's going to cause some problems. So it's logical. He added this. It's the same guy, Claude Hughes, director of Women's Health Center at Cedars-Sinai. Logical that eating isoflavones could change the baby's development. We're talking about birth defects, guys, of genitalia. Male genitalia formation is dependent on the presence of testosterone in utero. So if testosterone is not there, then we have a female baby. When testosterone is there, male baby, which forms the genitalia, can affect the structure of the genitalia, the size, whether or not his testicles are rescinded, as well. I mean, other issues later in life of estrogenized boys. Okay, whether it came from the diet of the mother or soy formula after they were born and nursing, they're more likely to have testicular cancer as well as prostate cancer. So here we are. It's affecting women, it's affecting men, it's affecting unborn children, as well as nursing children. None of it's good. The risk to benefit ratio, way high on the risk side, way outweighs any possible benefit, which the benefits seem to be really spun more like marketing. This could help with prostate cancer. This could help with breast cancer. Really? Maybe? If it's affecting hormones this way, how could it possibly negatively, this much negative impact. Could there really be a positive impact? And let's say there is a way, you're trusting them to know exactly when, exactly what dose, whereas you're just buying it at the store and eating it. Yeah, not worth the risk. You're rolling the dice. There's too much showing a negative impact for pretty much everyone at all stages of life, from in utero to menopausal, and as men are aging and having to deal with the great risk of prostate cancer, anyway, testicular cancer. But there's no reason to take the risk for a food like this. So again, this was short and sweet. I wanted to stick to the impact because I don't want to drag on with a lot of data rich. Okay. If you want to dig into some of these, again, I'm linking to each of these in the show notes, so you can go through and check them out. But a great source I found for these last couple podcasts on this has been a book called The Whole Soy Story by Kaayla Daniel. Highly recommend it if you want to dig into more information about soy. She really does have the whole soy story in there, and more than what I've spoken about, more than just your typical hormone effect, but the effect on the gut with the nutrient blocking lactate, or excuse me, lactate. I think about Nipple Discharge again, but oxalates, phytates, lectins, and the effect they have on the gut, the inflammation in the gut. She really digs in. So she's done a great job with this book. It's amazing. It's a great resource for anybody who's wanting to dig in more about understanding the effect of soy in our bodies. It's something to avoid. If you haven't heard that already in this, something to avoid. There's just too much bad and not enough evidence of good. So at least that you couldn't find in some other form that doesn't have this negative impact, right? Find another way to help your heart, help your breast cancer risk reduction, or prostate risk reduction. It doesn't even count, or deal with menopausal symptoms. Those are all real things that need to be dealt with, not with soy. Find another way, not with soy. All right. Appreciate you listening. I appreciate those of you who are sending me questions at zane@zanegreeks.com, or commenting on my Instagram page, Zane Greeks Fitness, if you're on Instagram. And again, you can catch this, if you aren't already, catch this on my YouTube channel. If you want to might be easier for you to play it in your car. If you want to have a visual, especially when I have my guests, sometimes that's more fun. If you're not just, solely on a podcast app, I've been posting to YouTube. So check out my YouTube channel. I have a few other videos on there as well, but it's primarily, as of late, been these podcast episodes. So please go check out my YouTube channel and subscribe. And I look forward to talking to you again next week.